This is the continuation of Genesis. We are now on Genesis chapter 25. Genesis chapter 25. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. She was a Ra. Keturah. And she bare him Zimran, Joksan, and Medan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shua. And Joksan, sorry y'all. And Joksan, Parthogenesis begot Sheba, and Dedan, and the son of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letushim, and Limium, or Lumium. And the sons of Midian is Ephah, and Epher, and Hannah, and Abidah, and Eldaah. All these were the children of Keturah, because her children could beget. They could parthogenesis, children. And Keturah, she was like Sarai, who before she was a Ra, Sarah, she was Sarai. So this is a woman who elevated in divine stature into a goddess, Keturah. She became a son, Ra, Keturah. And one of her sons, Parthogenesis, Sheba. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived eastward unto the east country. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived. This is a documentation at this point of him living a whole different type of life within his vessel. Because we've already been through where these are the days of his life. He was 99. If you go back and listen to other Genesis, there's like the days of the life is usually the marker of an evolutionary change within the body. And this another evolutionary change within the body of him being a man and going and bearing sons with a woman, a woman goddess, was 103 score and 15 years. And Abraham gave up the ghost and died in good old age as an old man. And the word man is different. And full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his son Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mamre. The field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth, there Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt by the well of Laharoh. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's first son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according in their generations, the firstborn of Ishmael. They're all firstborns of Ishmael. They're replicas. Nebajoth and Kedar and Abil and Mibsan and Misma and Duma and Masa. Hadar and Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael. These are their names by their towns, by their castles, the 12 princes that he bore, Ishmael, according to their nations. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people. And so it approximately takes, from what we have read, you to be born fully adult somewhere around 20, in order to be around, I would say, 75, 60 to 100 and something years, to really gather the ability to begot yourself. And it seems here that the longer you are, you transition between replicating self and having the ability to go into a woman. But the woman's womb has to have a consent to create. And often the consent to create makes the woman either of a different, like Keturah, Egyptian type energy, Isis type energy, like a wife of heaven type energy, or like a sun goddess type energy, or a Ray. She has to be of divine essence to some extent, or she has to be sanctioned by a goddess to give forth life, like Hagar. And then they can go back to Parthenogenesis a few more times, and then go back to siring a child with the raw energy. But 9 times out of 10, the raw energy is already self-replicating itself. So there's no need to go back and sleep with the woman, the goddess woman, the sun goddess woman, because she's already replicating. Once she gets the seed, she's like a tree that bears forth fruit. It's constant, seasonal. And it constantly bears and bears and bears the same product over and over again, the same genetic product over and over and over again. So this is a context of transitioning between being herb yielding seed and tree bearing fruit, or the tree bearing seed. And evolutionary stages that are healthy and conducive to that will float you in between the two as a species. Males knowing the likeness thereof of a woman. Women already know the likeness thereof of a male. Having a phallic is not really. It's more about having a womb and to understand womdom, which is to understand soul, or the solar energy, which is to understand what we talk about in Genesis 1, which is the spirit of the waters, that command forth, that when you speak over it, bring forth light. Right? So, and they dwelt from Havilah into Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest towards Astra, and he died in the presence of all his brethren. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife. Now we know Isaac was Sarah's son. And he was the youngest of entities. So this is a whole different type of birthing we're talking about over here. Because he was 40 years old. He was born like a teat suckler in comparison to Ishmael, who was considered a baby at 12. Now, Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel's son, the Syrian, Padanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. She was a Ka. a life. She was an energy that was denoted to have a chi, a ka. So you got a different type of woman from a different type of area that is known to be a ka energy. And you have women from other areas that are known to be ra energies. So, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, if you be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. When her days to deliver were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, the first set of twins, which we were saying by the zodiac house, the first set of Gemini, the first set of twins in the womb. And they came out red all over in hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that, his brother out, and his 10 hand took hold of Esau's heel. His name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. So Isaac now is transitioning into another stage of his evolution. And as soon as his kids is born, he now has 2 males, 2 boys. They are born. And these boys grew. And Esau was a cunning hunter and a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in the tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did not eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. This is a new evolutionary stage. They are the incarnate of Adam and Eve in a lesser, de-evolved generation. So you have here, and Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said unto Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this thy birthright. Sell me this day thy birthright. So Esau said to Jacob, I'm hungry and I'm faint. Therefore his name was called Edom. Feed me, I pray thee, with the same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore his name was called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this thy birthright. Because if you're going to be one who eat of your own, of the flesh, because if you're going to be one that does not eat of his own, and you're going to eat of my own, then you eat of my hand, you eat of my household, you are birthed there by my hand. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. What profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage and lentils. And he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Because Esau is Cain. So the play here is karma by the mother who is a Ka, Rebekah. So we are talking about an Asiatic generation, Asian African generation people with a new system of faith, Brahmin system of faith. They're all Brahmin systems of faith. From Abraham and Sarah and Keturah Brahmin, and all the way from the Brahmin perspective into Rebekah. And the karma of the reincarnation loop has the twins here. We successfully eradicated Adam and Eve's karmic debt. And now we are on the karmic debt of Cain and Abel, the two nations of the womb. And the one that was slain has been avenged by Jacob. Or he's been, because Jacob and Esau are incarnates of Abel and Cain. And there is a famine in the land. Beside the first famine, that was the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, and dwell in the land in which I tell of thee. So, going down into Egypt and dwelling in the land outside of Egypt, outside of Africa, shows the maps. I'm going to say the maps back then were upside down. So you're talking about the Kush, the Hindu Kushite, the Kemetic, the Mesopotamian, Babylonian, Assyrian, Dravidian empires. This is a documentation of the evolutionary migratory phases and the de-evolution of humanity, and how we are all broken up as different forms of what you would consider man, which is that which made of the dust of the ground. And it doesn't specify species, because the dust of the ground is all life and all species. Everything that is only how it transitions between how it bears and is born and grows and is nurtured and evolves. So you're not talking about race or ethnic group. It's more common to talk about species. It would be more of an aspect of species than it would be race or ethnic group, because they are formed from the dust of the ground. Adam, who had Eve within him, or was Adam and Eve at the time before the splitting. It was a man made of the molecules of the earth, the DNA lineages of the soil of the earth. That means that his DNA lineage was tapped into all forms of life. That means that different types of life, as they break down and de-evolve and break apart and spread as DNA, we are all different. We could be the same skin color, but not necessarily the same molecule as the same species. But we're all supposed to go through the same exact evolutionary phase of being either a Ra, as a feminine, a womb. We're supposed to level up and become Ra's, or life giver Ka's. And the males are supposed to become into the likeness of us at some point and begot themselves. And they'll go back into the likeness of themselves to understand things in full totality. Why is that? Because Adam didn't understand himself. So when he was split, Adam didn't understand himself. And if he had understood self, he would have understood Eve. Thus, they would have been working more as one firm decision in two minds. But one's mind of the self wanted to be wise, and the other mind of the self wanted to lie and not take accountability. So we are now merging the energies back into one. When masculinity takes accountability and starts to progress on their thought forms and their actions, they understand divine feminine energy. And they often become very abundant in life force, like a woman, and manifest magnetism in all areas of their life. And they also become less like the title kings of the previous chapters, willing to war, because all was manhood, all was of parthenogenesis, creating, and all you're doing is recreating this strong warring sexual creature. These that are struggling to do the same thing, and so they're sleeping around with each other in Sodom and Gomorrah, and they're utilizing any hole, like to see what they can do, like including an ancient one's hole, like that, So let's keep it going here. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee for unto thee and unto thy seed I will give these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father, and I will make thy seed to multiply. I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all the countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge and my commandments, my statutes and my laws. And Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and the men of the place asked him of his wife. And he said, she is my sister, for he feared to say, she is with me, she is my wife, lest, said he, the men of this place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was healthy, fair to look upon. So they were warring over these divine feminines, and was trying to procreate. The allure of her fertility. And it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah, his wife. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, behold, of the surety she is thy sister? And how saidst thou, she is my sister? And Isaac said unto her, because I said, lest I die for her. So she is his sister, because in his world, the sister is the bond of trust between the man and woman. This is why they ask, how is she a sister? And they want to know, is this sister by kin, by blood? But they all are by kin and blood. They all like parthenogenesis, birth, so, and his answer was slightly different from Abraham's answer. His answer is, I die for her. And this is now seals Adam and Eve. Absolve karma. Abimelech said, what is it this thou hast done unto us? One of the people might lightly have lain with thy wife, and thou shouldest have brought guiltiness upon us. Abimelech charged all his people, saying, he that toucheth this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Then Isaac sold in that land and received in the same year 100-fold The Lord blessed him. And man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. So he just a man, he just grew into to be more of a man and more of whatever he is. And he had possessions of flocks and possession of herds and great stores of servants, and the Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with earth. And Isaac departed thence and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham. And he called their names after the names by which his father had called them. So now he is actually titling the flow of water in the earth. And Isaac's servant digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. Because the water they commended the spirit, which they have a very great reverence when it comes to earth and water, womb energy, and sunlight, Ra, energy, Ka, life force energy. And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. And they digged another well and strove for that also, and he called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from this, digged another well, for that they strove not, and he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, for now, Lord hath made room for us, we shall be fruitful in the land. And he went up from thence to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared unto him, same time at night, and said, I am the God of Abraham. Now, Abraham was made a God. If you go back and listen to it, Abraham became a God at some point. But Abraham thy father, fear not, for I am with thee, and I will bless thee, and multiply thy seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he built an altar there, and called upon the name of the Lord. He built him an altar. Now, those who build altars, we know this is a conduit to access the spiritual world. So we know that you are basically phoned down and feeding energetically an entity or another being. You can also do this with living people. It is not best to have ancestral offerings or picture offerings. But in this case, this is a transference of life force in which this Lord requires. He requires a form of worship. I call this the form of deification. That when we are looking out for each other, we're supposed to deify each other. Humans are supposed to make each other gods through the process of deification. But what we have out here right now is celebridom. Beyonce is one of the... She is one of the energies that we attempted deification. She's when people make pictures in their lockers and they praise unto Beyonce. That's not idolization. That's you're deifying Beyonce to become a goddess. But she is a human goddess, so she'll birth a bunch of children and then eventually die. But she'll leave a legacy of good karma for generations to come. While Jay-Z, who cannot begot himself, sadly, will, however, start to understand the feminine qualities of himself as he is no longer sexually able to have an erection with his seed giver. So he'll be unto the likeness of a woman. Men all go unto the likeness of woman in their elderly years. They need to be took care of. They have to be gentle and well kept, and they have to be very much wise and take care of the babies. On top of that, They have no testosterone, no T cells. So when you go into the likeness of the feminine energy, you come in like it, you go out like it as a male. And why is it set up that way? Karma. Because we were talking about this purposeful living, and the purpose of water and flow, the ebb and flow, and the wells being dug. Everything has to flow. So everything has to be on a constant energy. And if everything is on the flow of constant energy, and then it is sanctified and deified, the area, the land, and that which has the power to sanctify and deify, and be worshipped to sanctify and deify. Meaning, Beyonce can bless you better than the reason why there's a pope, and the reason why people are so like Beyonce fan driven is because she can literally, with the deification of worshiping process, bless people. And the Pope worshiping him bless people. But what's happening nowadays is we're getting to an age where we're not trying to deify Hollywood celebrities because of things that they do to people, like sacrifice, blood and seed rituals, water flow and spirit, soul source, dust of the earth and ground rituals with bodies, to cause death and transference of life force without there being a product of like a baby. Beyonce is guilty of that because of Blue Ivy. Blue Ivy is an incarnate Aaliyah. So Aaliyah and Blue Ivy are the same being, different vessel. So you would say Aaliyah begot Blue Ivy, if you're going to be real about it. But the vessel and the transfer of the life force through deification and through ritualistic ceremony was by the industry. Okay, so they bottled her up, and it's like taking a soul source and transferring it into a womb and killing off the person, slowly, gradually killing off the person to sap the soul source out of them. We would call this in witchcraft destiny swapping. That's destiny swapping. Taking the soul source or fertility magic, taking the soul source from another woman and placing it in your own womb. And then that woman died, and then you give birth to her. You become her mother. So this is like a message for all those that practice that shit. You're going to mess around here and give birth to your enemy. The one that's going to have to rewrite your karma. So you're sitting there trying to destiny swap, but the destiny will still maintain, but the vessel will change. And the mother and you will sit there. It's like somebody taking my fertility and I die because you can't live without energetic fertility. The multiplicity of healing and replenishing yourself is a fertile nature. So if I liked a fertile nature and I died because my cells can no longer replicate in order for me to be alive, and and somebody off me after draining a lot of my soul source energy, I'll be birthed through their ass. And I'll come back, and karma-wise, if they did it through deceptive means, whatever they gain, I will own. And thus I will redeem not only their bloodline that they cursed in doing the rituals, but I will also redeem my own bloodline and who I am in multiple corporeal forms. Blue Ivy's career is her taking her power back as Aaliyah. And notice, since Blue Ivy was born, the marriage between Beyonce and Jay-Z is on the rocks. So when you think you're escaping your karma, you're not. When you think you're killing a chosen or a divine being, you're not. We'll birth through you to shut you down. And then take the power of the life you bestowed within us and the power of the life of the previous person we were, and be a nine etheric a nine etheric goddess at 33. So a lot of people are like, why these divine feminines can't die? They already did, and it was birthed through the lineage that cursed another lineage to clear up two lineages and to reclaim themselves. Some of us have more than two. So you basically is feline in the nature. The 9 lives, right? It's feline in the nature. Meaning the energy is never destroyed, it's only transferred. So what are you stealing if it's being transferred? You can't steal nothing that's going to be transferred. But you can end up taking on a karmic debt for what you did. And you have to heal that. You're going to be made to heal that. Either through that which you seed or that which you bear with your own work in life or in the next life. So, and Isaac said unto them, wherefore come ye to me, seeing ye hate me, and you have sent me away from me? He pitched a dent and digged a well, and then Abimelech went to him from Gerar, and Ahuzah, one of his friends, and Pachol, the chief captain of his army. And Isaac said unto them, wherefore come ye to me, seeing ye hate me, and have sent me away from you? And they said, we saw certainly that the Lord was with thee, and we said, let there be now an oath betwixt us, even betwixt us and thee, and let us make a covenant with thee. So they came and started to worship also what he worshipped. And also worshiping what they having a covenant with what they probably worship. They got a new master, earthly master. And thou wilt do us no hurt, as we have not touched thee, and as we have done unto thee nothing but good, and have sent thee away in peace, and thou art now the blessed of the Lord. And he made a feast, and they did eat and drink, and they rose up betimes in the morning, and swore unto one another. And Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they had digged, and said unto him, we have found water. And he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba unto this day. And Esau was 40 years old when he took a wife, Judith, the daughter of Beri and the Hittite, and the Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mine unto Isaac and to Rebekah. But let us talk about it. He called the water Sheba, who is of the. Let's go back. We're gonna go back. Sheba is that which was begot by Keturah. Sheba was begot by Joksan, who was begot by Keturah. So Sheba is Joksan, and Sheba is Keturah, and Sheba is Abraham. And now the water must have been very fertility, a ley line, magical, very magical water, or as we would say in spell work, magical water with a high mystical living water, the everlasting waters, that which we have basically depleted now on this earth. We don't really have powerful ley line energy. If you know anything about witches, witchcraft, and going to the ley lines and going to places where the waters cross, that water has a spirit, and that water, it empowers you to be able to do things, but you have to have the skills and the master teacher in order to even know what to do at that water. When in America, they know what to do with the water. So they set murals in North Carolina. One of the ley line structures is under a Christ figurine, and the name Mordecai is in Raleigh. There's a ley line area where the waters underneath the ground are crossing. They have placed the name Mordecai and a Christ figurine, honoring the energetic of the king of the Kai, or the King Kai, Mordecai, who is a king of men. That is an altar built on a ley line. Other altars like the town Warsaw, North Carolina. Warsaw, North Carolina has a ley line altar of a Confederate museum, old Confederate museum, to empower the aspect of basically racism in the South. So they put their museums, their altars, on your ley lines to empower their white supremacy agendas. They practice occultism. And where you are, where there are waters that cross, they put a mural of death, mockery on it. Ley lines in black communities often have roads on them, and those roads are often called Martin Luther King's. So at the same time, they're empowering and worshiping the dead of Martin Luther King, but they're also disgracing it by the type of altar that they put, which is roads and traffic. So there's just multiple energies absorbing energies going through Martin Luther King Road. And multiple people driving through. But nobody stops and absorbs. Because it's a road. So they strategically place things. Nothing that you see in this world lacks occultism in it, or the premise of energetic ciphering and dark matter magic. And they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly why they build these structures. So I'm going to leave it at that. We'll be reading more and talking and discussing more as we continue further. And this is Genesis 25, and this is about the Brahmin, the divine masculine Brahmin, and the occultism behind the Lord, the earthly master, who is just someone, male or female, that has exceeded the lifetime of not only giving birth and deification as a god or a guru, a master teacher, but also has become a conduit of freely moving vessel between, in one form of teleportation between the portals that are open to this world and the nine etheric realms, or the realms that are considered the Brahmalokas or the heavens. Freely moving energy that can be conjured and summoned. And there are divine feminines out here that can literally be summoned. So when a man is praying for love, he is often given a divine feminine. And he is supposed to honor and respect that in a sisterly like energy until it is time for procreation or marriage, which is sex. So I'm going to leave it at that.